All right, this from Dawg Pound Daily. 4 Browns whose stock has fallen ahead of training camp. Number 4, running back Jerome Ford. Number 3, the aforementioned Siaki Ika, nose tackle. Number 2, Jedrick Wills, left tackle. And number 1, Elijah Moore. We've already talked about Ika. Jerome Ford, I don't think his stock's fallen. I'm not quite sure why people are talking about that. I think the Browns were happier with his year than fans were, and I've been critical. Too many runs that gained nothing.
Yeah. I think that I think we kind of got hung up on a lot of those plays with Jerome Ford. Because if you go back and you look at it, I mean, he had well over 1,000 all purpose yards. I mean, he produced. And I think the biggest issue with Jerome Ford in terms of this kind of stock down kind of player, because it's not just Dawg Pound Daily. I've seen him as like a trade candidate, a cut candidate on some other publications. And I think we talked about it last week on the show. But I think they bring in two. They bring in 2 more running backs, 2 guys that have done some stuff in the NFL with Hines and Foreman. And then you kind of get just the thing that I think that why Ford is undercut so much is he's just not Nick Chubb. And so I think a lot of people that cover the Browns are like, well, he was nowhere near Nick Chubb, so he must have stunk. And when in reality, he was fine. He's a very good number 2 running back. I think he'll be number 2 in the NFL for a long time. But when you're trying to live in the shadow of 24, and sometimes it's really hard to live up to those shoes and fill those shoes.
Yeah, and relative to Jedrick Wills, that's another one. He's got to play better, without question. But I think the Browns are higher on him than most fans.
Yeah, and they've stayed that way, I think, for majority of his career. And one thing that gives me hope about Jedrick Wills is the same thing that gives me hope about Deshaun Watson. The last time we saw Jed, he was playing pretty good football. I mean, you go back to his rookie year, he struggles at times as a run blocker, but he's a good athlete. And I think some of his pass protection stuff as a rookie in 2020 was really good. And then he comes out of the early bye week last year, and I was like, that's the dude that they drafted 10th overall. And unfortunately, just like Deshaun Watson, injury takes the rest of his season for you. And now you're sitting here going, I got to pay you a lot of money this year. And I got to make a decision to let you walk or find a new left tackle. And I'm not sure what you are. And so, fans want to put DeWanda over there and all those sorts of things. And I think a lot of it comes back to the inconsistencies and the fact that he is in a contract year. And, the going rate for even average left tackles is ridiculous.